quick presentation on decision making for relationships. This is brought to you by Combined Coaching Therapies with Shah. Okay, so before we get started, let's just look at some of the communication styles. And this is relevant, obviously, for decision making. So the first one is passive. We tend to avoid conflict or become very agreeable to just resolve it quickly. Assertive is obviously where we want to get to, is being able to be clear, direct, brief, and non-judgmental. Aggressive is what we're typically finding in a lot of relationships. One person is becoming dominating, inconsiderate, pushy, and loud. And obviously, at the start of the relationship, it wasn't like that. But as we get into the power struggle, aggressiveness definitely comes through. Passive aggressiveness, similar to being aggressive, but obviously on the surface it seems agreeable, but when the person acts, it's in the opposite way. So you agree to do something, but when you're doing it, there's obviously you're feeling very negative. It's almost like you're trying to sabotage it. And finally, the one that we really want to unpack if this is happening is when it's destructive. There's physical, emotional abuse, very judgmental, sarcastic. Couples go into crisis when there's destructive behavior. Again, assertive. Um, do you believe you are being assertive? Are you clear with what you want, direct, brief, and non-judgmental? What do you think? What does your partner think? Are you able to discuss this? So assertive two, clear and concise, but there's less judgmental terms. So again, are you being assertive but being judgmental, or assertive with non-judgmental terms? And definitely when we do the couple counseling, we are doing active listening so that uh, first understand what your partner is saying. We're doing mirroring, so you tune in, connect with your partner, and we're also looking at being curious, suspending the need to argue, judge straight away, and just trying to find out your partner's perspective. Passive, definitely, if someone's feeling overwhelmed, if there's deeper issues from childhood where you learn to disassociate, where you learn to just avoid conflict, the passive style would do this. If one person is pursuing the other person, they may start to go into passive style and just agree to avoid the conflict. Behind passive style is low self-worth. Again, this could be from childhood, not entitled, believing that they don't have that they should just give up what they require, and they really start to act small. So you could be just passive by just generally avoiding the person and being agreeable, or could be a very deeper issue around why the person is passive. Aggressive styles, someone becomes dominating, they start to blame, they need to win. How aggressive are you being when you're trying to decide things? Deeper issues happening underneath the surface. The person's insecure, the person egotistical. They could be narcissist, whatever it is, they're coming up with a very aggressive style. Sure, it's okay to be aggressive at work, dealing with people when they're aggressive, but in the relationship, what is that affecting? Definitely, if it's aggressive style too, you're probably going into crisis. Destructive, This has gone from aggressive to destructive, starting to get physical. It's going from 0 to 100. Things aren't going great, very judgmental, not deciding on anything. One person is talking about divorce. Again, there could be deeper issues behind it, sexual abuse, lack of parenting. This is where therapy comes into it. The first parts, we can definitely use the first stage of couple counseling. The next stage requires deeper therapy, which combined coaching therapy also can help you with. All right, so the next stage is we're looking at decision-making process. And look, obviously, this is where we're going to um, experience those different communication styles. When we're just having a neutral conversation, we're just going to get a general style. But when we're having conflict or having to make a decision, then the communication styles really start to appear. And either we become passive aggressive, we're becoming dominating, it can get destructive. So that's where we're using this decision making process to look at the communication style and also give you a process to make resolve and have conflict. So in this case, we're basing it on a previous session. If you've done the using a spreadsheet and just sort of making it more structured. So the first part is with the decision-making process is to state what actually the decision is, what you're talking about. And in this case, we're talking about Simon and Jay getting a good night's sleep. Their daughter wants to sleep in the same bed as them. And what happens is Jay starts to get up in the night. She can't go back to sleep, so she goes down and sleeps downstairs, but then the daughter wakes up and this wakes Simon up because he has to take her downstairs. So some of the issues are that, the couple should be sleeping together. The daughter probably should move to her own room and sleep in there. What are the effects on her anxiety and those sort of things. So we sort of state that as a general, what we believe that we're trying to make a decision on. We could look at then the short-term goals and the general goals about that issue. Now, to speed things up, I've just written this here. So again, a general decision. Short term is obviously good sleep. The daughter sleeps in a room. That might actually go into a long-term one. General ones, we communicate better. We have our separate space to sleep together. So again, we write our goals so we're clear about what we're talking about and we stick to these issues, right? We don't bring in all sorts of other things about use too much excessive phone use or things about you know about finances or whatever, right? This is about a specific topic. We then go ahead and look at the issues. And to keep it structured, we'll, write down as many issues as we can think about. And then Simon will go and prioritize these by putting a number in this column, and Jay will go and put a priority in this column. Best to just go and do it yourself and then write it in there. Just use the numbers as reference and then combine them. So again, speeding things up. Um, General goals, basic goals, and these are some of the issues. Stick to what each person perspective is. Look, Simon needs a good sleep. Jay needs a good sleep. The daughter needs a good sleep are the obvious ones. Jay needs the phone when she wakes up to get back to sleep. So we write them all down. And then for Simon, for thinking about your own perspective, obviously, it is important for everyone to get a good sleep, but my perspective is I need to get a good sleep, one, and then maybe Jay, and then the daughter. Um, if I think, look, actually both of us need a good sleep, I might even put one and one there, and then put two here. I think, well, look, definitely the daughter needs to feel safe in her own room, but the priority is around sleeping to get, this is the main topic we're talking about. So I could put that like a three. Um, and look, the whole thing about sleep is being refreshed at work, so I might even, bump that up to a two. Looking at the general goals, again, putting what you feel. And look, the key part here is we're not looking at judging the person about what they think their priority is. It's a bit about being honest and authentic around it. We're not judging, blaming, looking at a communication style that's going to allow us to make a decision, being assertive, review what assertive is. If you feel you are getting into this destructive communication style, then definitely have to bring that up in the sessions. And look, this is the first level to see how this decision can be made, what happens during it. Again, use the tools that you've learned in the sessions. I would advise also using the feedback wheel. So, creating first, what are the facts? So, talk about what you feel are the facts. And look, Simon can do his, and then Jay can do hers. Put them in the spreadsheet. We all need a good sleep. Sleeping arrangements are causing issues. These are the facts, right? Then the stories, what's going in my head when I'm thinking about this. You're going downstairs to avoid connection. There's something wrong with me. That's why you're going downstairs. Or there's something on your phone. You want to check out something on your phone. You're obsessed with the phone. Um, the person could say, well, you're just thinking about yourself and not about, the daughter's anxiety. Whatever it is, right? These are what the stories, but they're not the facts. Okay, what's happening in your internal world that we need to understand. Feelings, use the feeling wheel. We're not connected. It's making me sad, angry, the lack of sleep. We're not being able to solve this. Finally, we come up with the solutions we believe, and then you could do the solutions Jay believe, and as a couple, what are your final solutions? Again, use the tools that you've learned in the session. These include active listening, refer to session one exercises, connection, tune into your partner first when you need to discuss these things. That can also involve mirroring, um, slow things down, take time out if things are getting too heated. Look at what storms are coming through. Tune into the expressions that are happening with your partner. This is an exercise to improve the relationship as well and also solve problems. Keep it structured. See what is working, what isn't working. Use it as an exercise to build on the session work.